we have a winner. Look at this. Tell me you don't want to eat that. Look at that. Nashville hot chicken.
All right, YouTube family, we are going to jump right in. Listen, this is going to be pretty explanatory. I want to take my time here, but basically what I'm doing here is I have 600 grams of boneless, skinless chicken thighs, and I'm using 2% of that, so that's 12 grams of salt that I'm going to season these chicken with. Okay, and what's important here is we're doing what's called a dry brine. So heavy salt, I'm going to go for 20 minutes, and I'm not going to pat it dry or rinse it off. But what I want to do is I want to remove that moisture from the outside. All right, boom. Next, clean up your mess. Then I'm going in with some buttermilk here. Weight is not important. And I think what's really important is this dish is not finalized, but I wanted to share my thought process and technique behind it after tasting a bunch. So buttermilk, salt, 2 eggs, and then I'm gonna come in with a gang of seasoning. All right, so this is smoked paprika, but I wanna show you what I'm working with here. So we have espelette pepper, aleppo pepper, dark chili, paprika, cayenne, onion, garlic, MSG, and we are gonna season with our heart today, okay? But I think what's really important is I don't wanna just use all cayenne pepper. I think it'd be too spicy and too sharp. So aleppo pepper and the other 2 peppers are really good base lime peppers that have really good spicy, but also a really nice depth of flavor. I'm using Frank's Red Hot, but trust me, I know it's supposed to be Crystal or whatever, Louisiana hot sauce, but guess what, man? I love the flavor profile of Frank's Red Hot. So for our flour, we're gonna go right in. I'm gonna season the same, I'm using the same seasoning for everything. So basically, this is just a little bit of whole wheat flour. I wanted to see what the crust would come out like. I don't recommend it though. I'm also adding 20% cornstarch. Now this keeps the batter very crispy, right? So, I mean, honestly, if you're gonna fry anything, if you're not doing tempura, I would definitely suggest a percentage of cornstarch. Anyway, next, I'm gonna go ahead and season with my heart here. All right, so this is just the dredge, right? I think, in my honest opinion, the most important part for the Nashville hot, I think, is towards the end, seasoning at the end with the chilies combined. Now, this is the espelette pepper. All right, I love the flavor profile of this one. This is gonna be the aleppo pepper, all right? And I love the flavor of this one too. And yeah, and so I just, I wanted to use a variety of peppers because I feel like sometimes, chefs and other people just want to see how spicy they can make things. But I love spice, but I don't want it to ruin a dish for me. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to eat a sandwich and be dying, So anyway, we're moving right in. This is another waste of time, by the way. I wanted to show you what I was doing because I was like, okay, I need to make a chicken dip. And so basically what I was doing is I was getting a little bit of honey. I'm using the same seasoning, the same peppers actually, all these peppers, and I'm adding a little bit of MSG. That's optional, but I'm just showing you what I'm doing. And I didn't use any of the chicken oil because I don't want to use fryer oil. I thought it'd be better just to use safflower oil. But I mean, this is what I think of as a chef. I'm thinking of ways to make things better. Respect the tradition, but make it better. Now, for Nashville hot, they'd dip it completely and then season it. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that technique. Now, this is no hate or anything, but just me as a chef, I did it a few ways. And I think the best bet is to season it as soon as it comes out of the fryer with the pepper mix, opposed to dipping it back into the fryer oil. It just makes it too dense and heavy. But as you can see, so we got our chicken back, right? Now, just a little food for thought. I prefer the bone-in, skin-on chicken thigh, but this is a sandwich, right? So it's don't waste your time. The only thing I don't like about skinless boneless is they don't have any, it doesn't have any skins. But guess what? For a sandwich, it's perfect. I prefer thigh over breast for a sandwich any day. Now, as you can see, I'm really getting in here. I'm really dredging this. And I think this is really important, right? Go in the buttermilk, make sure it's all coated, and then let the batter drip off, okay? Very important. Take your time. As I go throughout this, you'll notice I'll keep one hand wet, one hand dry. I think this is a standard practice in restaurants. Whenever you're having to bread things or flour and batter things, it's very important to wear gloves. All right, wear gloves, stay neat and organized because this can turn into a train wreck real quick. All right, so here I go. I'm double dipping, and then from there, I saw this trick. I forgot who did this trick, but I can't recall. But I thought it was a great idea. And basically, what you do is you make basically you take a little bit of the breading flour and then you take the batter and you mix it together and you make these little flakes. And then with those flakes, you press it onto the chicken. And I absolutely love this. It is a really good idea. And it just adds an extra layer of flavor and texture and crunch. And especially with the boneless, skinless thighs, you'll notice where the skin was attached, it's super smooth and flat. So you want to try to add as much crunch as possible. But anyway, so I'm doing that here. And yeah, I think that's a really good point actually. Like, you know, think about what you're breading, right? And how long it's gonna cook. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I would love to try this with the bone-in skin on. I mean, I think you'll just yield a better product. And plus I like gnawing on the bones and stuff. But as you can see, we're going into our fryer oil. I'm frying with vegetable oil. I'm making sure, I think it's really important when you're frying at your house, try to do it in a well-ventilated area, and then also don't fill up the fryer oil too much. I see this people make this common mistake, and you know, it's very dangerous. So you saw me, I'm putting it in ever so gently, right? Because you don't want the oil to overflow. As you can see, it starts to rise and you have to be really careful because trust me, you don't want that spilling all over your countertop or your house and burning you. You know, it's really hard to clean up oil once it gets on the floor and everywhere. So just keep that in mind when you're frying at the house. Now, somebody asked me on my, I forgot it was Instagram or TikTok, if you could air fry something breaded. And you know, I just don't suggest it. You know what I mean? To me, that air fryer is like, you know, an oven. And I wouldn't suggest it. I think this needs to be deep fried or shallow fried. There's no question. Now these cook pretty quick because, you know, they're chicken thighs and they're boneless and skinless and very thin, but they cooked really quick. And then, you know, obviously I think if I could go back, I would have removed the whole wheat flour and just went with the all-purpose and the cornstarch. This was a good move, okay? Just a little bit of the cornstarch would have been perfect. But as you know, I like to test things and see what works best. But you know, we're freestyling today. I just wanted to share my thought process. A lot of people, look at this, beautiful, nice and crispy. So I think what I would have done if I could go back, I would have hit it with the seasoning right when it came out of the fryer, right? You know, here, obviously I already filmed and everything, but what I'm doing is I'm going into an oven. This works really well with just regular fried chicken. What you want to do is you want to go in here in the oven, if you're doing fried chicken in general, you know, 225 degrees, just for like a few minutes, so that way that oil seeps out. But for Nashville hot, I wouldn't suggest doing this. If you're making regular like fried chicken, do it. But for the Nashville hot, I think the best move is to season it right when it comes out of the fryer and it's still kind of greasy, instead of doing the re-dip. But that's just my personal opinion. Now, I'm making an aioli here. I'm just using your basic clove of garlic, lemon juice, Dijon, hot sauce, and then I want to show a little pro tip here, but you know, I learned this working at Cafe Blue, and it has to do with kind of cooking an egg. So I just nuked this egg real quick. It was about, I would say 30 seconds. You still want the yolk kind of like medium-ish cooked. And what this does is it just gives your aioli a little bit more flavor and body. All right, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna treat this just like a regular aioli. You know, I'm gonna stream oil in here. I'm using safflower oil. And also season with your heart, okay? So I'm using hot sauce, I'm using, I used cayenne, a little paprika, a little chili powder, and it came out really good. I was really happy with how it came out. Didn't even need to strain it. But, and also I don't like mayos like super thick. I just don't, like mayo kind of grosses me out, but I love it. But I just don't like it super thick. I like it to be super acidic and nice and saucy. All right, next this is where I think I would go back and skip this part completely. Now, don't get me wrong, this was really good, but I think I prefer just doing this right when it comes out of the fryer, like just hit it up with this seasoning right here, and I think you'll end up with a better product. So learn from my mistakes, everyone. Trust me on this, right? So I did a whole bunch of extra steps, and I think I ended up making the chicken a little bit on the soggy side, and I don't think it needs the extra oil, but hey, do you. I'm just saying for me, right when I take it out of the fryer, I would have just hit it with the seasoning, called it a day, forget about the other components, and just, I'm telling you, it would have been perfect. So I went to the store and I got the cheapest bun cheapest bun that I could see that had good flavor, but next time I'm gonna make the bread for sure. I prefer small pickles just because they don't have that much seeds and the texture is amazing, right? So pro tip, if you're gonna make a sandwich, get the small dill pickles. right? And I'm not gonna lie, this was bussin'. It was so good. It was so delicious, so juicy, and I love the fact I was inspired by Maylin's chicken sandwich shop in Los Angeles, how she had the chicken really sticking out of the bun, so that's why I made it like this. Now, I didn't add any tomatoes or lettuce or anything. I just wanted pickles, the aioli, and the really soft bun.
I'm so excited to eat this. That crunch is unreal. I think it's all about not being too spicy so you can enjoy the sandwich, but like, it's definitely spicy.